All right, what is up, obscure podcast listening people? Almost did my YouTube shtick there. So, anyways, I've got a little what do I call this? A scenario, like a fantasy scenario, not sexually. Calm down, calm the fuck down. A fantasy scenario for people who are extreme conspiracy theorists. So, I've got a friend of mine that's really deep into the stuff, like really deep. I don't talk to him often. I really like this guy because we were buddies in high school. He claims he saw some shit while he was in the service. I kind of believe him. I kind of don't. Like, it's just one of those things, man. Like, you don't know. But I mean, the things he's convinced of are in line with the same things that other conspiracy folk are very convinced of. And I mean all of it. Like, all of it. 9/11 was, us, and just all of it. Every single bit of it. He buys into all of it. And I remember him telling me something along the line of when you are born, they basically have like a piece of paper with your social and your value. Like, you have a dollar value on you from birth. And somehow, I don't even freaking know how. It's been years ago. It was when the pandemic started. Like, I will fully admit, when the pandemic started, and because I like to, let me preface here, I like to watch and discover theories. So before the pandemic happened, before there was ever a single case of COVID, I remember that in an unnamed country, there was unnamed because I don't like saying the name of the country out loud, but there was a country that you can all figure it out, that literally, I don't know if they murdered or found, but there were some laboratory coats that got in a lot of big trouble, supposedly because they were going to tell the world something. I think some of those disappeared. The lab was exactly where you think it is. And that's the thing. I don't know this for fact. I'm explaining what I read. I don't believe in anything 100% that I see online or, on YouTube or in written form. To pretend that you know something is truth, unless you've got irrefutable evidence yourself firsthand, you can't believe everything you see. But I remember this issue where there were some laboratory people that, were supposedly going to talk about something, disappeared. Then COVID happens, and, there was a lot of theories. And when something like this happens, when you have like a worldwide pandemic and technically are locked in the house, which I never was, like in Southern Ohio, I have not worked remotely. I have always worked, I never once worked from home or was stuck at home. And in my small neck of the woods in Ohio, the restrictions were, I guess they were more minimal. I live in a red county, so you could still go to Walmart, you could still go to the store, you could still do all that stuff. You just kind of had this 6 feet apart thing, but nobody followed it. They did make sure that you were wearing masks. Like, they wouldn't let you enter masks unless you had some reason. And of course, everybody down here in Southern Ohio, I know my accent is deep enough, but everybody down here in Southern Ohio is like, I can't breathe with the mask on. Medical doctor told me I can't wear them. And they just let you in. I mean, it was like, they were kind of trying, but not really. But where all that shit was going on, I was very concerned with, like, why? Like, I've been around for a minute, so I've never lived through anything like this. So what's going on? Like, what is going on? So I kind of dove into some of those conspiracy rabbit holes, admittedly. Every time there's a new conspiracy, I gotta know. I gotta educate myself on what it is that people believe. And if I would give it a shred of, attention myself as a believer, which hardly ever happens. But, hold on. when this all happened, that was it kind of coincided, like the calls for Hollywood pedophiles and blood drinking chroma, what the heck was that? I don't even remember. Adrenochrome, is that it? I don't know. I researched all this stuff and what people were believing, and I did not believe the deepest, farthest parts of it, but there were things that I questioned. Like, there has been some people that have committed suicide that were talking about things before they committed suicide. To give a shred of belief to the fact that there are powerful people making things happen, I believe in that a little bit, but I don't have any indisputable truth. And again, you can't believe everything you believe online. So I don't spread the fact that I think it's a possibility. I don't spread any of this stuff because possibilities are endless for all kinds of scenarios. All kinds. I mean, there's possibilities for so much stuff. Aliens, Hollywood elite, cabal, Illuminati. There's possibilities of, underwater Atlantis. There's so many possibilities and so many theories and stuff. Again, let me say, I do not believe in any one thing when it comes to theories 100%. I might give something a shred of my thought and be like, that is tricky, that is odd, that is, there is a little bit of smoke there. I wonder if there's any fire. I mean, you got to at least question things. So I like to question things. Again, I don't buy into any certain theory. I think people that get too deep into it, no matter what it is, whether it be cabal, Illuminati, Hollywood elite, all that stuff, I think if you're obsessed with that and you're letting it rule even more than a few minutes of your time in your life, you're spending your time wrongly, because you're not going to, let's say you do find indisputable evidence of something, you, without a platform, a massive platform, you're not going to be able to do much. Being a keyboard warrior online doesn't do much. But I digress. I was, looking through these theories, and my buddy, I called him, the one that I said everyone had a currency on paper with their social. I called him, and I just wanted to get his take on it because I knew that he would fucking have one. I knew that he would. And I was prepared to listen to something whether I agreed 1% or not. Granted, that was a 3-hour phone call, and it was very, very interesting. Like, I liked hearing his takes. I liked hearing his experiences. I'm not about to call him a dumbass or anything like that. His ideas and theories were far-fetched to me, but, you do you, I'll do me. I don't believe in any of that shit more than like a little shred here and there, and never enough to let it have any control over what I think life is about, and that's being kind, doing good things, and living your best life while you're here. Because if you're living your life on forums with talking about conspiracy theories, you rest assured you're wasting your fucking life. But so I was, just wanting to know what was going on. This pandemic, this was a new thing. And of course the theories just bust out of everywhere, Now over time, I don't have much of an opinion on any of those theories. QAnon is absolutely bullshit, I'll say that. That's the most ridiculous fucking one I think I've ever heard in my lifetime that people really, truly believe. That's just total garbage. Absolute, that's common sense garbage. JFK Jr.'s not coming back. It's not happening. It's just not. And I believe that with 99.9% of my being. I leave that 0.01 in there because me pretending to be 100%, I'd be ignorant, to believe something 100,000%. Anyways, pandemic. Don't even know where I was going with this. Where was I going with this? Anyways, theory. Fun fantasy situation. So if you're a big conspiracy buff, and I thought about this the other day because my mind just works and it works and it works. It does things. It likes to analyze and overanalyze. What if you had two super deep conspiracy theorist parents, and they decided that it was in their best interest and your best interest as their unborn child to have you off the grid. Like, have you not tell anybody they're pregnant. Like, let's say they live in a cabin in the woods with hydropower and solar power, and they themselves probably have social security numbers. They themselves probably have ways of being tracked and found, and maybe not completely. Like, they live in the woods. No devices to be tracked. You could probably get away with it. But let's say that they have an unborn child, and they decide to have this child off the grid. So, unborn child, born in the woods, no doctors, no witnesses, no one even knows they're pregnant. No social security number, no nothing. No nothing, I said. So, to me, this is a cool thing to think about, because while there is a litany of disadvantages to this, so technically, you probably couldn't get a job. You couldn't get a job unless you were paid under the table. We'll say they give you a name, because you can have a name, and if nobody knows that you don't have a social or an identity registered with the government, you can have a name. You can be, Bo Jackson the Third. You could be, Mick Jagger the Second, or maybe 17th. I don't know if he's got a Mick Jr. or not. But if you don't have any association with, social security number and stuff like that, that's interesting to me, because yes, you won't be able to work unless it's under the table. You won't be able to get a driver's license. Medical care is probably not an option. So, I mean, there's some massive disadvantages here. But there is the advantage of, like, not being known. If you want to rewind things back to, like, Holocaust era or any kind of genocides, like modern day genocides, like, how did they locate people? If you live off the grid in the woods with no identity, no mailing address, no identity, no fingerprints on file, no nothing, I feel like while you are at risk medically and financially, you are safe in every other single possible way. And that is intriguing to me. I just think that's kind of cool. Like, I'd almost like to be that first person, and I'm sure it's not the first. I mean, we're talking billions of people in the world, trillions of people in the world. I don't know. But we're talking, there's got to be a few. There's got to be a few unregistered, unknown human beings out there. Has to be. That'd be kind of cool. Again, I don't know for sure that I think it'd be cool to be that person. I don't know if I'd want to be that person, because historically, especially right now, most of us get to live our full life without too much complication and too much interruption. At least here in the United States, the interruption and complication is just always, it's financial, or you get yourself in trouble, you go to jail. But for us law-abiding citizens that just keep to ourselves, move onward, forward, typically you get to live your life, whether it's ended shortly by an accident or medical things or not. Like, you typically get to live your life. So it's an interesting proposition to think about, like having a unregistered child, just a free spirited, woods living, loincloth wearing child. Tarzan, basically. Tarzan. Have you a little Tarzan, or Tarzanette, or Tarzapan. And it's interesting to me. And that takes me back, like, another thing I think about, besides this fantasy theory of not having registered identity. Then I think about all the people that are not only registered identities, but have been around for quite a while. And I work with a few of these folks, and I want to transition right into a little bit more of an age thing. I've talked about age with certain things on some of these episodes, but something that gives me great hope is for those of you who are, have the mortality fear the fear of getting old, the fear of not making it to a certain age. I gotta say, I have some coworkers, and I've only got a few in my department, but I've got some coworkers, and the average age of my department is heavily inflated by two of my three coworkers. One of my coworkers, same age as me. We're both 41. My other two coworkers are like 73 and like 65, I think. So they're, when I think of 60, 65, I think of like my parents, my in-laws. They're 65-ish. They're in that range. So I feel like, they take care of themselves. They've got a nice potential 30 years left if you take care of yourself. Been meeting more and more people that are 80s and 90s, and that's very encouraging, that are doing well. But I think about the people I work with, and if it weren't for the fact, can't speak today, if it were not for the fact that I can see the age just in their appearance, and one of them, she doesn't even look 65. She may not be 65. She might be 60. But she doesn't look it. She looks mid-50s, and that's cool. But I feel like I look fucking 50 sometimes, and I probably do. Just a couple years ago, I did not. Anyways, it's encouraging to work with them, because when you put yourself in proximity to where you're constantly around someone of that age that is not a grandmother, because a grandmother is going to act like a grandmother around the family, just like a mother or a father is going to act like a father or a mother around the family. Then you transplant the mother-father away from the family into a work situation or into a friend group, and they can really turn up the juice on their personality. So I get to work with a couple of women that are older than myself, and even though they're like 65 and 73, they turned the juice up on that personality. Like, they are very enjoyable and do not act their age at all. Not even a little, honestly. Like, not in comparison to me, which I've became like an old soul. Like, I'm 41, but I am domesticated and, grumpy and set in my ways for the most part, but they're good ways. I will change if common sense dictates a change needs to be made, or rationale or reason. But these two are they are hilarious and fun to be around, and it's just encouraging, because it's like, life does not stop at 60, 70, or 80. It just doesn't. It stops when it stops. And it's really just fun. For example, I walked in on, my coworkers having a rather raunchy conversation, and it just got raunchier to the point to where I had to walk out. And I was like, I never thought I would have I didn't really partake in it. I just heard, and I had to walk away because of my position in the job that I'm in. But I was cracking up. I was like, this is just hilarious, like, it just goes to show that age seriously means very little. It really, really does. It means very little. It means we're, a little bit broken physically, but, as long as your mental stability hangs on, it just doesn't mean a whole lot, You've got happy, fruitful, sexual, older people. Oh, what a sentence. That gives me hope. I mean, because honestly, the pleasures we have in this life, food, fornicating, and loved ones, and being kind, technically those are all kind of ageless, and that's cool to me, because I don't want to lose any of the pleasures in life to age. Granted, you may need the blue pill, you may need the lube, but everything's doable, possible, if you want it to stay that way. And it's encouraging to me. Just, now I will say, your eating habits have to change. My wife cannot eat anything greasy at all. She's 40. She can't eat anything greasy. Absolutely destroys her. So, living like that, living like you're 20, 30, whatever, you got to stop that at some point. And that's, it's interesting, but take care of yourself. You might be a porn star into your 80s, or hot dog eating champ. God, it's the same fucking thing. Oh my God. I really was thinking about the Nathan's hot dog guys. Like, will that, oh fuck, what's his name? Oh, damn it, Joey Chestnut. Like, will he continue this at 60, 70, 80? If he wants to, you know? I mean, Tom Brady was fucking getting slammed by 300-pound guys. Ooh, that sounds sexual, too. Till he was 45, 46, and may still do so again. Who knows? But I've seen, oh, God, watching the Tony Hawk documentary on HBO Max, I think it is. Dude, a lot of these 50-some-year-olds, 60-some-year-olds, they're still fucking skating. And it's like, if you want to, if you push, and if, you know, they're getting hurt more, obviously, we're more brittle. Our muscle density sucks, you know, as we get older. Most of that stuff just sucks, but they're fucking doing it. Like, no one's going to tell them they can't. So a lot of these guys from the 90s that were skate stars, 80s that were skate stars, BMX guys, a lot of those guys still do it. Maybe not professionally, maybe not that you see on TV, but I mean, fuck Tony Hawk. It was just a year or two ago he broke his femur, and because he was on a half pipe, and he's like mid-50s, you know? That's cool to me. Fuck age. Doesn't mean anything. It means some gray hair, means some wrinkles. You know, if you're okay with getting hurt, you can keep on skating. I'm not going to skate or play basketball or anything like that. I don't want to get hurt. But I want to still live life to my fullest potential, preferably as an unregistered human alien. Yeah. How can I reverse all that? How can I, like, do I need to stage a death and then come back with plastic surgery as nobody, burn my fingerprints off? I got to figure out this face-off thing. Like, how can I turn into face-off? Which I bring that up because I got my wife of, you know, 7.5 years. Yeah, been together almost a decade. I got her to watch The Rock for the first time. Not, can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Not that guy Rock. Sean Connery is a rock. Welcome to The Rock. That guy. Him and Nicolas Cage. Ed Harris. Oh, good shit. Great shit. But we watched that the other night. 90s action movies, a lot of fun. I'd like to see Creed 3. I want to see John Wick 4. It's a good time for movies. I've got a lot of people lately to dive into the John Wick thing. More people than I thought possible said, oh, I've never seen one of those John Wick movies. And I'm like, you gotta. You literally have to. It's just a, you know, it's kind of like getting a social security number. You must watch John Wick. If you have not watched John Wick, you seriously have to watch John Wick. Unless you just absolutely hate, like, movies with violence and action movies. You have to watch John Wick. If you like Die Hard, if you like any action movie, The Rock, Face Off, any of that shit, if you like any movie with action in it, you need to watch John Wick. It's just that simple. You need to wick it up. Wick it good. Wick it. All right. That's all I got. I'm pretty sure this episode's long enough. Not 100% on that, but you ever, like, certain sunglasses just take away your ability to see screens? I can't see my screen. That's okay, though. See you guys on the next, I feel like Dr. Dre. See you guys on the next episode.